Hello, welcome to Gurukul's Cat 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is day 65 and we've got 5 good verbal questions for you. In case you want to take this up as a test, then go on to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for the 100 Days to Cat test series. We have 100 free verbal, quant and LR tests for your practice so that you can crack CAT 2025 in this attempt. And if you've not been following this series, then please do not forget to check out all our other videos which have happened so far. Now, in case you want to follow along with this video, this is your question number 1. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll move on to the question number 2. This is your question number 2. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll move on to the third question. This is your third question. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll move on to the fourth question. This is your question number 4. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll go into the last question. Now, this is your question number 5. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll get into the explanation of all these questions. Your question number 1 is a para completion type of question. So let's check the sentence first and then get into the paragraph. The sentence says, as a person's leadership capabilities grow and opportunities to demonstrate them expand, high profile challenging assignments and other organization endorsements become more likely. So what do I understand from this? Okay, once this happens, once the person's leadership capabilities grow, then okay, all of this happen. Right. So let's see, when does this person's leadership capabilities actually grow? When is it given in the passage? So paragraph says, a person asserts leadership by taking purposeful action such as convening a meeting to revive a dormant project. Now, what is this dormant? Dormant means inactive. Okay, something that is not currently active, right? Others affirm or resist the action. So what do I understand over here? From this part to this part, a person is taking some kind of an action, correct? Now, if I were to place anything over here in this blank, it would disrupt the flow of me saying others either agree to the action or they resist the action, encouraging or discouraging subsequent assertions. So definitely I'm not going to place this in 1. Now, these interactions inform person's sense of self as a leader. Now, here I see about a person's leadership capabilities, and here I'm seeing that it's going towards that by showing me that it's the sense of self as a leader and communicate how others view his or her fitness for the role. Fair enough. Such affirmation. Now, what kind of an affirmation? One thing that I can see is here, okay, these interactions and all, they're not directly any affirmation, correct? So, if I say that a person's leadership capabilities grow and opportunities to demonstrate them expand, he gets certain kind of assignments and all, and obviously some kind of endorsements, they become more likely. Now, if he gets such kind of endorsements, maybe these endorsements are what I could think of as such affirmations. So these affirmations give the person fortitude to step outside a comfort zone and experiment with unfamiliar behaviors and new ways of exercising leadership. So till this point, I am clear that okay, this could definitely come at 2, but let me just check placing this at 3 and 4 and see how it goes forward. Okay, so an absence of affirmation. So what do I see over here? I am giving certain affirmations, okay, because of which he is able to step out, okay, and exercise new leaderships or exercise, find out new ways of exercising leadership. But what happens when an absence of that affirmation happens? So he's already moved on from the topic of leadership. He's now talking about how those assertions strengthen or weaken his leadership, correct? So clearly this part is very well in scope, but let's check the rest of it also. An absence of affirmation, however, diminishes self-confidence and discourages him or her from seeking developmental opportunities or experimenting. Fair enough. Right now, okay, if I were to place this in 4, the next part after this sentence, after the fourth blank, would be leadership identity, which begins as a tentative peripheral aspect of the self, which is a completely different topic. He's already moved on to another topic, correct? Which is exactly why neither can I place it at 3, nor can I place it at 4, and definitely we have eliminated 1. So the best possible answer for us will be option 2. Now let's go into the second question. Second question is a para summary type of question. So if we were to look at the passage first, yes, but someone will say to me that this design of making use of oneself as a subject to write about would be excusable in great and famous men, okay, who by their reputation have aroused some desire to know them. So what does this first line tell me? Okay, this first line tells me that only great men are allowed to write about themselves, not common men like you and I. Only great men are allowed to write about themselves. Why? Because we already have, okay, some kind of a desire to know them because of their reputation. That is certain. I confess it and I know it very well that an artisan will scarcely lift his eyes from his work to see a man of the common sort, whereas men forsake workshops and stores to see a great and prominent person arrive in a city. Now, to simply put this, if I go to a new city, okay, no shopkeeper, no common man would even lift their face and look at me. But that only if I say that Hrithik Roshan is going to a city or something, okay, everyone will be running behind the car, everyone will try to look at him. Now, the point is not that I'm jealous of Hrithik Roshan or anything. The point is that people who are common people, right, they do not get the kind of attention that these rich and powerful people get, okay. So, a prominent person gets. It will be any other to make himself known except him who has qualities worth of imitation and whose life and opinions may serve as a model. So again, someone who's prominent, someone who is influential, it is only those kind of people who are allowed to talk about themselves, who are allowed to, write about themselves. Why? Because that would be an inspiration to others. That would be kind of, their opinions would help us also understand how to behave and live. So that is what this whole passage talks about. Basically, it says that if you're a common man, bro, you have nothing. If you're someone who is very prominent, then yes, people will care about you and what you have to say, your opinions and all of that. So, A, people tend to emulate famous men and thus are eager to read about them. Fair enough. I understand that, they're eager to read about them. But again, this part about emulate famous men. Here he has said in the last line that they have qualities which are worthy of imitation. But he has never said that people would want to imitate them. Right? So, this will not be a correct answer, and specifically speaking, this is only about imitation of people. So it does not even capture the entire idea that we are getting in the passage. B, great and famous men inspire others through their writings. Now, he said that great and famous men should write about themselves or can write about themselves. He never said that they inspire people only through their writings. So, again, I will take off B from the mix. Now, what about C? A man of ordinary bearings holds little privilege to publicity. Yes, this what clearly he says that if you're a common person, you have no right to publicity, you will not get publicity also. So, this kind of captures the essence of the passage. All famous men have a social obligation to share their life stories. Now, obviously, he says that if you're a famous man, okay, in fact, he says that if you're a common man, you shouldn't be writing about yourself. Only famous men have that right. But nowhere does he say that all famous men have to write about their life, right? So, D is an extreme answer. So, I'm going to eliminate this. So, the best possible answer for me over here would become C. Now, let's move to the third question of the day. Now, third question again is a para summary type of a question. Over here, we are talking about Che Guevara. So being a worldwide popular icon, the Argentinian Marxist revolutionary Ernesto Che Guevara has been differently reappropriated. Okay, reappropriated. That means thought of. Okay, by a variety of movements across the globe, but his reception and symbolization in contemporary China has been less discussed by Western scholars. Okay, so basically the passage says that Che Guevara has been thought of very differently by different people across the globe, but in China, the way he's been thought of in China, Western scholars have not read that part, keenly, or Western scholars have not discussed that part widely. He evolved from a propagandized model of the socialist revolution and an anti-American hero endorsed by the Chinese Communist Party to a secret spiritual guide for the sent-down youth during the Cultural Revolution. From a nostalgic symbol for idealism generated by Gargantin Zhang's milestone drama Che Guevara to a subculture of Che Guevara on the internet that voices discontentment with social and economic inequality. So very big line. Let me actually break it down. The two examples that have been given. Obviously not a new idea, but one small idea is there over here also. The idea is that he evolved from a propagandized model of socialist revolution and anti-American hero endorsed by the CCP to some other thing. Now over here, what do I understand? Okay, obviously maybe. Alright, because Chinese Communist Party is a socialist party, they respected him. They have made his model as a very, very widely spread out model to convince people about their ideologies also. But that was not all. Okay, what else happened to this hero's image? This hero has become a spiritual guide, secret spiritual guide. Okay, to whom? To the rural youth. The sent down youth is nothing but the rural youth of China. Okay. From a nostalgic symbol of idealism generated by Guagantin Zhang's milestone drama, that means very, very impressionable drama, very nice drama. Okay, Che Guevara, so probably this guy or girl, I don't know. Okay, this person, let's say. Okay, his drama, Che Guevara, to a subculture, Che Guevara on the internet. So probably this could be some kind of a group or a page or something that is on the internet, somewhere on the internet, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, but somewhere on the internet, but this group voices discontentment with social and economic inequality. So look at it, beautifully put passage. There are 4 different types of, images that are being used because of the ideologies of Che Guevara. So he's been put into 4 different types of images to tell different people about different things. The complex evolution of Che Guevara's image in modern China testifies his chameleon-like potential to represent different ideals. So obviously that's what we were just thinking about, right? So there are different ways in which we are using Che Guevara's image to convince people about different ideologies, all under the guise of Che Guevara. So let's look at the options now. A. Che Guevara created a huge fan following because he was quite vocal with respect to economic, cultural and social issues across the globe. As much as this could be true, the passage is not dealing with why Che Guevara has created such a huge fan following, but how people have looked at Che Guevara's image. So definitely A is not going to be my correct answer. Now B, the Chinese government played a role in magnifying the image and the role of Che Guevara and how he led the development of consciousness in China. Now this becomes a very, very tricky answer because this is obviously wrong an answer. Why? Because this is more so talking about how Chinese government was responsible for magnifying the image, but Chinese government did no such thing. Chinese government just took his image because it was a propagandized model of an anti-American hero, a socialist revolution hero. Okay, they did not magnify the image in any way. Okay, so this misappropriates the stance that's taken in the passage to the government, and hence we have to remove this. C. The dynamic potential of Che Guevara was reflected in multiple reinterpretations of his image worldwide and within China's political and popular imagination. So yes, there are a lot of different places which have thought of Che Guevara's image in a lot of different ways, and also how it has happened in China's political and popular imagination. So this part could be the China's political imagination, okay, and this part where we look at Guangtan Zhang's milestone drama and all this, Che Guevara's internet page and all of that, that could be the popular imagination. So this option kind of captures what we're looking at for the best. Okay, now let me look at option D and see if it is better than C or not. Now D says an anti-American stance of the Che Guevara made him the favorite of the Chinese establishment, which led to the less popularization of Xi by the Western media. Now there are 2 problems over here. First things first, this anti-American stance part, I agree with. Okay, I'm definitely agreeing with it, but the problem is it's just a partial scope thing. Second problem I have over here is who told that is the reason why Western media is not, reading about him or it's not popularizing him. That attribution has not come out anywhere in the passage, right? So we are not going to take this as our answer because it misappropriates the cause and it does not tell us anywhere. Okay, this part about popularization by the Western media part has not been spoken in the passage, so it goes out of scope for us to take it. So the best possible answer now becomes C. Now let's go to the next question, the 4th question of this test. Now this is an odd man out type of a question, so definitely we have 5 sentences over here and we need to check which of the sentences do not belong together. So let's try to first look at a common theme in all of these 5 sentences. We're not facing a crisis in the continuity of humankind. It makes one wonder what kind of people would really like to have a clone. So basically here he's talking about some kind of a continuity of humankind, and over here in the second line he's talking about cloning and all. Okay, on that account the mind is a result of an interaction between brain and the world. Okay, now here he's talking about mind and the connection of brain and the world altogether. So all the 3 so far look very different and distinct in theme. Part of being human is to be unique. Now when he says that part of being human is to be unique, there's some sort of a correlation between the 4th sentence and the 2nd sentence, wherein, okay, if I think that part of being unique or part of being human is to be unique, okay, then it would make me wonder what kind of people really would want a clone, right? Because clone means what? Something, an exact replica of you. If the whole goal is to be unique, why would I want a clone? So that kind of thought process comes. So maybe I would say that maybe 4 and 2 kind of go together. Now 5, the only thing that can be cloned is the body, but human being is also the mind. Okay, so now what I can think, okay, is that this 5 also goes with them, okay, where I say that 4, 2 and 5 are going together. If I were to look a little carefully over here, out of 3 and 1, I see that we have used mind here and we have used mind here, but that's just a distractor. Why? Because here we are looking at the connection or interaction between brain and the world. But if I look at 1, we are not facing a crisis in the continuity of humankind. That gives me the cause of why all this needs to even happen. Okay, so if I say that I have put 4, 2, 1 and 5, then the whole passage, the whole paragraph turns out into this wonderful idea that, okay, part of being, human is to be unique, and if we want to be unique, why should we even clone ourselves? We're not facing any kind of a crisis right now, right, to clone ourselves. And even if we do clone ourselves, we can only clone the body but not the mind. Now, in that sense, it gives me a beautiful cohesion of an idea of why cloning is even necessary, which means that 3 is our odd man out, and that becomes our correct answer. So without any further ado, let's go into the last question. But before we go there, please comment down what all your answers are and how many answers you're getting correct. What are your scores in the past few tests that you have taken? And if you have not yet taken our previous test, go back and take our previous test. Now, the last question of the day, last question is also a para completion type of question. So let's look at the sentence before we go into the paragraph. So the sentence says the history of science shows that major scientific revolutions typically occur without incentives. Okay, so basically he's giving me some kind of an idea. Okay, this is an idea. He's saying that, yeah, the major scientific revolutions, whatever scientific revolutions have happened, they did not have incentives. So my mind should automatically focus on 2 things. Okay, am I going to talk about major scientific revolutions or am I going to talk about incentives? Okay, because clearly I do not have any blank over here. So this cannot be the first statement, that much I understand. Okay, I have a last blank over here. So probably this could go into the end, but why would I want to even define an idea at the very end? Okay, so those are 2 things that I am thinking about. Now, let me go into the paragraph. Obviously, I'm not going to read through this part, okay, because this is more or less of an example base. Yeah, now one more part which is important is over here. Breakthroughs in medicines are no different. Okay, that means what? Not only in science but also in medicine, right? That is the kind of a logic that I need to apply when I've read the sentence. Now let me look at the paragraph. A policy level change for which some now argue. Again, let's not get too confused. This is anyways a modifier, so I'm just going to remove this part for now. Okay, a policy level change is to reduce or eliminate the intellectual property protection of medical interventions. Okay, so this paragraph would probably be about removing the intellectual property protection of medical interventions. This would have several consequences, fair enough, as we've thought. It would obviously mitigate the financial incentives that appear to be corrupting the medical science. So what do I see here? I see that there is some kind of a positive change that he's spoken about. Okay, now if I were to put this over here, we have not spoken about any kind of revolution so far, so it does not really make sense at once. So I'm going to take this off. But what's coming after that, it would probably also mean that this part also mean that it is showing me that it was good that I did not put it in 1, because there's a flow over there which I would have disrupted had I put it in 1. It would probably also mean that new drugs would be cheaper. So all of this is just result of eliminating IP. Okay, now would it also mean that there would be a less innovative medical research and development? Again, this is a question, this all together, fine. This is a tired argument. Now what is a tired argument? An argument that's been made multiple number of times that it's not convincing anymore. Okay, so this is a tired argument. This part is the tired argument, right? So definitely had I placed this sentence in 2, I would still be disrupting the flow. So 2 also will not be the correct place for me to put this. So this is a tired argument often raised to defend intellectual property laws. However, it has serious problems. Now, what are the problems? The most important breakthroughs in medical interventions, antibiotics, insulin, polio vaccine, were developed in social and financial context that were completely unlike the context of pharmaceutical profit today. Fair enough. Now, if I were to look at this, the most important breakthroughs. Now, this part about the most important breakthroughs is what I could consider as a postcursor, okay, to major scientific revolutions. That means this should come after that. Now, again, if I were to look at it, he's talking about the history of science. Then he's saying breakthroughs in medicine are no different. Okay, and then he says the most important breakthroughs in medical interventions. So this part, I have an echo. I have the ideas matching. So obviously the best place to put this would be my blank number 3. So the correct answer would be option 3. Now, If you watched this video till here, please do not forget to hit that like button. That motivates us to keep bringing such videos for you every single day. Tell us in the comments how you like this video and how many questions you've gotten correct for you. Share this with your friends who do not have great resources to prepare for CAT 2025 but want to ace CAT 2025 this year. I'll see you in the next video.
You enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.